on the throttle and a huge sideways slide over the bump under the bridge coming out through 17. He did well to hold that. It was a good job nobody was right up his tailpipes, because Roman De Angelis could have had an advantage there, and the field is spread over the start-finish line, so none of the shenanigans we saw earlier on, except for the fact we've got a challenge further down the field as the number 7 of Maxwell Root takes his opportunity to have a go at Roman Ricchetti. He's side by side with him. I'm not sure he's got that done quite yet, but as they come into turn 3, oh, he loses it on the curb and almost hits Ricchetti ahead of him, but fantastic save in the blue and white number 7 car by Maxwell Root, the Hurley Haywood Scholarship winner. We're going to be calling his name an awful lot. He is fearless and fast. Right in behind him, Anthony Imperato. You might have thought he would have had a chance to make a position there. I think he was hanging back, waiting for the inevitable accident to happen, but somehow the car control from Root kept that car on the straight and narrow.
It was impressive, wasn't it? And then down into the hairpin there at turn 7, Maxwell Root, for a youngster who doesn't have any experience at this level, defending the inside line to make sure there was no room through there for Anthony Imperato in kind of a 91.
Fantastic restart from the leader, Trenton Estep, already half a second on the field.
Yes, but you're supposed to maintain the pace car, the safety car speed, aren't you, coming up to the yellow flag? He slowed it right down to get that big jump off turn 17 and try and steal a march on the rest of the field. Yeah, canny driving, but yeah, you got to be careful you don't overstep the limits of what is set by the chief steward before the race.
Safety car accelerates away, of course, to give you room. You can't pass the safety car before it's into the pit lane. And behind, it looks like Will Hardiman was making a move there on Anthony Imperato behind Maxwell Root. They were side by side for a moment, and coming down the back straight, there's more side by side action as well, as Ricchetti is defending again on the number 7, and Hardiman has gone through and puts the 91 car of Imperato back to 9th position. That was an opportunist manoeuvre at turn 16. We've seen a couple of people try it, and now a couple of people have pulled it off as well. The leaders flash by us from our left to right from the IMSA broadcast booth here, and Estep led by almost 0.6 of a second from De Angelis, then Robichon, then Kolkman, Ricchetti, Root, Hardiman, Imperato, Rzezinski in 10th position. Best of the Gold Cup drivers still Victor Gomez in 14th position overall. That's a great run. Remo Ricchetti now has Maxwell Root and Will Hardiman following in his wheel tracks as they head down towards turn 7 and the hairpin. And this is a great little battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. The Canadian category car of Remo Ricchetti not battling the 2 cars behind in terms of championship points. Even if they go through, he'll still get his 3rd position. But, of course, he wants to try and stay somewhere near to Zach Robichon to be able to pounce. Oh, sideways under braking. That's the 7 car. That's Max Root, and that was a rookie error. Very locked up, backing it in like a MotoGP rider into turn 10. And just the faintest of touch on the back of Ricchetti ahead of him that just gently ushered him off the circuit. And that will be being looked at. Not intentional again. But this kid's got fabulous car control, but just overstretched himself there, and that will be already having had a look at up in race control.
Yeah, going to be busy. There's a great dive to the inside by Will Hardiman on Maxwell Root, car number 7. At the battle now for, I think it'll be for 6th position. That was going into the S's there, unable to make that pass stick.
5th overall, in fact, in that, because don't forget we've got Roman De Angelis with 2 spots on the timing and scoring. I'll be very surprised if that position isn't reversed. I think the problem that Root's got here, Max Root's got here, Jeremy, is that he can't make restitution to Remo Ricchetti because Will Hardiman is behind him and not Remo. If it had been Remo, he could have possibly just let him go by, and I think he might have saved himself a drive-through. Masters category, Marco Sciaroni for the Canadian class. He's the best of the Masters. Got Michael Levitas right in behind him, who's the Platinum Masters category leader, the 36 car for the US category. 25 in the blue, orange and green NGT run car. That is our gold category winning. You can just slightly see the difference. On the rear end, I think it's most noticeable. Slightly different headlight design as well. If you've got keen eyes, there are sort of 4 LEDs on the newer cars' headlights. And also, the newer cars are different design between the rear spoiler, between the uprights for the aerofoil. A little bit of a ducktail on the newer car. Looks absolutely fantastic, the Gen 2 991 Carrera Cup car. The battle for the lead, well, Roman De Angelis refuses to allow Trenton Estep any breathing room. It's still just on that 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and Zachary Robichon is hanging on there in third place as well. He's not far behind. He's, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 car lengths behind. And David Coltman doing the best he can to try and hang in there as well. He's maybe a second behind the third place car. Then a bit of a gap back to that tremendous battle that continues between Maxwell Ruth and Will Hardiman.
Rob Ferriol, by the way, having spun away second position in GT3 Gold in the US Championship, has recovered now and got back past Greg Palmer, and he's now right on the tail of Wayne Ducote, trying to get back into third position. Wayne is 3 seconds behind Kurt Fazekas, who is in second in the 52 car, but Victor Gomez dominating the gold category. He is 9 places further up the road and something in the region of 12 seconds, and plenty of platinum class cars between him in the 25 car, the chasing Gold Cup category. Zach Robichon in third position in the bright green Mark Motors 98 car.
Looked like Jeff Boss was lining up Mark Kawami there to make a move for, would be 15th position overall. Jeff Boss isn't listed as a Masters contender. I think he should be because he's 48 years old. Sorry, Jeff, 48 years old now. But Mark Gironi is the overall Masters contender, but he's not running as part of the USA Series. So it's Michael Levitas who leads the US Series Masters, Platinum Masters category. Mark Kawami in second place and Jeff Boss trying to take that away.
What's the age? Is it 45, the age?
It's 40-something.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it's not 50. Well, I might be wrong. Let's see who else is in there.
Well, Fred Purtard is over 50.
Yeah, true.
Definitely. David Baker's over... See, I don't know.
Yeah,
yes,
maybe
I think he
50.
is. Charlie Luck is definitely over 50. Not sure about Scott Wellham.
He's 57, yeah.
Right, okay. Bill Smith is over 50.
So maybe it is 50 nowadays.
Wayne Ducote is well over 50.
Yes. He's well over 70.
Fabulous. And well done for him.
Doing a great job. He's running in the Gold Cup and still hanging on to what, 4th position in that category. Rob Ferriol, did he just get past him?
He's just gone past him.
Yeah, okay.
He's just gone past Wayne Ducote, so he's back up into third. He was only 2/10 behind him at the line. The battle for the lead comes round to turn 17. And time is ticking away. We're getting down to 5.5 minutes. But the top 3 are just still within a second of each other. Make that 3/4 of a second as they flash across the line. And also coming, David Coltman. He's in a bit of clear air at the moment. Robichon, very quick indeed in the third sector and puts his fastest lap in the race in last time around to close within 0.6 of a second of De Angelis, who's half a second away from Estep. So the top 3 just on a second apart, side by side, as the 88 Mark Motors car goes down the inside. That's Marco Gironi, and he is battling towards turn 3 at the moment.
Yeah, and he's finished on the overall podium here fairly recent, in not too distant past, Marco.
And he's just gone past the number 8 of Stefan Radzinski and taken a position on the road. Yeah,
Marco's 51, and he's been a master for several years. So the age limit used to be, I think it was either 40 or 45.
Okay.
And I don't have a rule book handy.
Is there any limitation on what experience you've got? So
no.
It's just purely on age?
I believe so.
Right,
I believe so.
So... great scrapping going on. Those Mark Motors cars, very distinctive liveries. Yeah. With the almost highlighter pen base colour down to tower turn, and that was a good move by Cerrone. Radzinski gave him the room, didn't make any silly manoeuvres at the front of the field. The leaders are still only half a second apart.
Great battling going on, yeah. And Zach Robichon, he's been the... has he been the fastest? Yeah, he's been the fastest car for the last couple of laps of that leading group. Well, actually, last lap around, it was David Kolkman who was quicker than all of them, and quicker than all of them. Actually, was Remo Rossetti who turned a 2:06.3 on that last lap.
Well, that was his best lap of the race. Yes, very good. Coming down, burning off the fuel, and the Yokohama tyres doing their job. Teams will have decided how to set the cars up. Bit of a flash of the headlight by the leader as they put a lap on one of the tail enders. That was good driving by everybody there. But the top three are together. We're going to have, I think, one more lap after this one, Jeremy. Robichon with a 2:05.7 last time around has really closed up, and the top three now under a second apart. Going down to the hairpin at turn 7. Live from trackside at Sebring. Round 1 of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cups, USA and Canada by Yokohama. And the top three, Trenton Estep leads then by half a second, a scant half a second. No mistakes here, Trenton. You can't afford to slide wide, but he can't afford to cruise either. And for me, the car that looks slightly, I think Zach Robichon's got slightly the better car under him. He is second in the Canadian Championship, and the guy who's leading the Canadian part of the championship is right ahead of him, being entered for both. So he's second in the American, De Angelis, and leading the Canadian. This is a real opportunity for Zachary Robichon to take the top step of the Ultra 94 podium.
Yeah, that battle is very much joined now for second and third. Trenton Estep, for really the first time in his race, has pulled out just a little bit of a margin now as they head on to the Ullman Straight for the 19th time. And it's, just a couple of minutes to go. Is it going to be white flag this time around then?
I think it'll have to be. I think that this will be the last lap. And here comes Robichon. He's closing. We know he's quick in that final sector. And he's got the assistance of a toe, a hole in the air being punched by De Angelis. Now, can he get into position? The white flag is in the air. One more lap for the first round of the IMSA Porsche GT3 Cup Challenges for USA and Canada by Yokohama. And the battle for second overall, but the lead in the Ultra 94 Championship, there's not a full Porsche length between them as they come out to turn 1 up towards Christensen Corner now. And De Angelis, I think any thought from De Angelis that he could win this race overall is gone now, because he's looking in his mirrors at Zachary Robichon.
That's right. And last time around, Trenton Estep went purple in sector 2. He pulled out 0.4 of a second on that middle sector over those two chasers. So Trenton Estep, now the race is in his hands. If he can keep it clean from here, he'll be looking good for a victory. He won 2 races last season as a rookie, did Trenton Estep, then as a 17-year-old, and now looking to get the 2018 season off to the perfect start.
Defensive driving by Roman De Angelis as he goes into turn 10. Oh, the leader just slides wide a tiny little bit through turn 11. He's got a little bit of breathing space because the two behind are battling. But De Angelis will have seen that. When you follow a car, you can see if it's starting to lose grip from the back end. So just half a lap to go. Less than that now. Couple of corners and then down the long Ullman Straight, the back straight here at Sebring. And then it'll be the seemingly endless right-hand corner at turn 17 with a big bump in the middle, down the inside. This is for the lead in the Canada version of the championship. And it's at turn 16 again that Zachary Robichon makes his move. That is clearly his signature part of the circuit. And with less than a third of a lap to go, he's in the lead. The headlamps are flashing from Roman De Angelis, but there's no time for him to respond there. That's a super overtake. It will be second in the race and the win in the Ultra 94 part of the championship, but the overall and the win in the USA Cup Challenge goes to Trenton Estep. Second place will be Zachary Robichon, with De Angelis in third
Where's Kolkman?
Kolkman has stopped. Kolkman is stopped on the final lap. So Max Root comes through. Now, still, I would say that's very provisional at the moment because of that bump and run from Max Root earlier on. Hardman will come through in 4th in the American Championship. Ricchetti will come through in 3rd in the Canadian. Then the rest of the top 10, Anthony Imperato in 8th. 9th, Marco Cironi will be the first Masters driver home in the Canadian Championship. Then Rudzinski will get a 10th position. But what a disaster for David Kolkman, the highly rated German. Car has not made the finishing line. Victor Gomez wins the Gold Cup category in 14th overall. Kirk Facite is his second, and Rob Ferriol recovers back to 3rd, having spun away a solid 2nd position about a 3rd of the way through that race. Good fighting drive back by Rob Ferriol. But what a finish to the race. Trenton Estep beautifully judged. Zachary Robichon with the latest of late moves on turn 16 on the final lap. Came not from nowhere, but my goodness, he had one chance and he took it. Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant drive by him. Victor Gomez there, he comes home as the Gold Cup winner in the 14th position overall, well clear of Kurt Vazikas, who takes 2nd place for Kelly Moss Roden race in a Gold Cup, ahead of Rob Ferriol, who did very, very well to come back from that spin on his debut in this championship, just ahead of Wayne Ducote and Bill Smith.
A smoky Porsche. David Kolkman down, I think, towards the hairpin, Jeremy, at turn 7 on the last lap. Now, he was in the battle, so was that contact?
He wasn't in the battle.
As I said, he was in. Yes, he was in a bit of air, wasn't he? You're absolutely right.
He'd actually slipped back over the last couple. That's quite a long way. He'd lost a couple of seconds on the previous lap, and then he went missing. So I think maybe there was some sort of a problem developing. It's a replay of that brilliantly opportunistic manoeuvre by Zachary Robichon to take over 2nd place
and win the Ultra 94 Cup for the Canadian drivers. All of the drivers off the track on the Ullman Straight trying to pick up debris on the tyres and raise the ride height of the car. That tells its own story. How close to the ride height were they running?
And pick up some extra weight as well on all that pickup on the tyres. But what a great result for Zachary Robichon.